Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FGM eCars presenting the Thunder Series. Yes, we're back here live, ANZCAR Xfinity Series on FGM eCars for the first time ever. The Thunder Series returning to your Wednesday evenings. We're at Dover for the Dover doubleheader. At Dover tonight and tomorrow night for the Cup. And joined tonight by my usual assistant partner in crime here. It is Carl Withy, and with him as well we have a special guest, Carl.
Yes, we do indeed. We have got a slightly, unfortunately injured driver with us, but it's nice to have him up in the booth. Mr. Lachlan Oakley, how are you going, Lockie?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Well, obviously not great either with a bit of an injury, but I thought I'll come up and give you guys a few extra special comments throughout the race and come give Carl a hand and Stuart a hand and enjoy the race as much as I can, even though I can't be out there racing.
It's one of the things I like about the ANZCAR series, Carl. For me, as a pretend driver, I am a pretend driver, nowhere near the skill level of some of the guys out on the track, but they all seem to like just coming off track and coming into the commentary box. It must just be because of the charisma that occupies the box on a more permanent basis.
That's it, in all honesty. They just love being up here to chat with us, Stuart. It's
and
much more fun than being out on the track.
That's why there's a lock on the door. No, but unfortunately, Lockie not out there tonight.
Yeah, look, these things happen. You kind of got to deal with it when it comes, and I think for me, taking 2 weeks off is the best thing to get myself ready for the end of the season. But yeah, it'd be good to watch a good race tonight. I think the cars are certainly going to be a lot more lively than they'd be used to with the Xfinity car. So it's going to be entertaining.
Of course, a very different car to what we've seen before. Of course, very different to the truck, and of course the Cup, which is almost their closest version. But they are very different. They're about 100 pounds lighter with far less horsepower and a bit of a different wheel size as well. Chassis size, I should say.
And the biggest difference that from driving them around earlier this year, they've got half the downforce or less than half the downforce. So they've essentially, the only downforce they've got is that skinny little wing on the back. They don't have a splitter. They don't have anything else. It's a bit of a driver's car, this one.
The thing I love about NASCAR, and obviously I am a relatively new observer of it, particularly from a sim racing perspective, but been watching it for a while without really any real understanding of it other than enjoying the fact that they're loud in their V8s and what have you. It's just how simple they keep things in terms of the builds of the cars and stuff like that. We're jumping in now, we're on board with Ryan Jones, and there's no Motec or any of that sort of rubbish. It's just a couple of autometer gauges and big old steering wheel, and off you go. And it's one of the things I really enjoy about it. It's just how raw some of the cars are.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that really drew me to the series when I first started driving it. Is the fact that there is no fancy bells and whistles. There's no tricks and magic to the cars. It's right back down to grassroots, drive the vehicle, how it drives you.
Yeah, just nice and raw. So we're just looking here at Ryan Jones. He's actually fastest. He won't have wanted to park there during the race, but he's actually fastest at the moment. We've got 2 minutes left in this practice session before we head out to solo qualifying. So format here tonight is very, very familiar. Solo qualifying as always. And I believe we're doing 150 laps or so. We'll get this one underway shortly.
Yeah, look, I've just had a look at a couple cars. There's a lot of cars are starting to get loose. I wonder if there's a few guys trying out there now to go and try a set a quali lap, maybe.
Getting that qualifying practice in is always the tricky part, and you sort of push that a little bit harder, of course, for the qualifying lap, and it can sometimes really catch you unsighted. If you've sort of been pushing around out there, getting used to the actual race car rather than the qualifying car, because they are very different over a couple of single laps when you don't have all the temperature in the tyres, of course, and when they've got all their grip, to when they've been on the long run.
Absolutely. So the clock ticking it down here. We were just saying, Carl, at the top there as well, that there's a number of new drivers in here tonight as well. Of course, This series hasn't been run for a little while, so Jacob Burke joins in. There'll be some that I might miss, so apologies in advance if you are re-watching the stream and I didn't give you a mention. Brenton Hobson currently top of the tree at the moment, new driver in terms of my experience with ANZCAR. Jaden Russell as well joins the field. Brenton West. So there's a few new faces in here. Of course, a lot of old faces that people are very familiar with. Michael Skurlock jumps in for Crank Esports. Ruben Phelps is here to have a run. Edward Foster is also here on behalf of Natari. So lots of familiar faces here. It's actually going to be quite a strong field.
Yeah, very much so, and it's nice to see some fresh blood coming in as well. It's what we really enjoy, and something we actually were speaking about after the truck race, seeing some new faces in the series and seeing how well they did. It's always a nice thing to have some fresh faces in the series, because you do need that, of course. You do need fresh blood coming in and some new challenges to appear, because it puts everybody up. Well, it ups everybody's game, of course. It makes everybody a little bit stronger when you've got some strong people racing with you, and it also helps keep the series running.
We're going to jump on board here with Matt Hunter. Sorry to cut you off there, Lockie. We're going to jump on board here with Matt Hunter, and we'll, as usual, Carl, get you to talk us around a lap once he gets on a flyer.
Yeah, very much so. It's of course, Dover is a bit of an easier track to talk around than some of the tracks that we've got coming up, especially in the Oz Pro Series. But you come around here, the final set of corners onto the start-finish straight. As I've just lost my position, but onto the start-finish straight. For turns 1 and 2, dropping down, you might want to just touch a bit of brake, let it ease off, come into here, put the car in. A lot of camber on these corners, onto the back straight. A very short track, of course. Quick squirt of the throttle up to the final rate ends of the gear ratio, and now it's turns 3 and 4. Going through these corners, you're just going to ease off, let the car through, get back on the accelerator quickly, try and miss the wall and get across the line. A very different lap to what we're used to, of course, and not quite as full on as some of the other laps that we see over the season.
Of course, we have spoken briefly, Carl, as well about what is coming up on the channel, and not to take away from tonight, but we are headed to the Nürburgring at some stage in the near future, so you'll have to get the drip out to keep your lips liquid when you're doing the rundown on the lap around there, as we see Matty Hunter there pull that one off. So Hamish Gallagher currently at the top of the table. He's finished his 2 flying laps with a 23.15, just pipping Edward Foster. Jaden Russell just moves up, Tristan Koch as well. So a couple of guys here just getting into their second lap still.
There's a quick lap from Josh Micklemore there, actually. He's just popped up into the top there with a 23.143.
He had a great race the other night, didn't he?
Yeah. And he's one of the drivers, Josh Micklemore, who I would look to have a really strong race around here. Every time I've seen him race here, I think he's been on either pole, second or third. So he's got quite the affinity for this racetrack, and it'll be exciting to see how he goes tonight.
Of course, Stephen Williams jumping in as well. He's just completed his first flying lap, and in the old Castrol livery, just doing a 23.34 there, so the second lap will be a little quicker.
Josh tends to have an affinity for almost every track in the ANZCAR series, unfortunately. He's one of the harder competitors to beat, and just so very consistent as well. That's the big thing with Josh Micklemore, is his consistency is just unbelievable sometimes.
He's certainly definitely one of the strongest drivers, if not the strongest at the moment currently, especially with his run in the Cup Series. I don't think he's finished outside the top 10 for quite a few races, and even when he's having a bad race, his bad race is 8th or 9th, so I'd give anything to have his record at the moment.
It's an annoying habit that the Mitch Motorsport boys tend to have, is when they have a bad race, it's better than most of our good races, which is always frustrating.
But it's a credit to them and their driving and their skill. It's one thing to be fast, but it's another to make the most of a bad situation. I think they've clearly shown above and beyond that they can do that every week nearly. So it's a credit to the team, the way they're working together, and the way that they're pulling out results. It's definitely something to watch.
some really good laps from Jaden Russell in 4th and Brenton West at the moment in 6th. Nice to see him. And Tristan Koch as well, getting a really good lap up there, getting into 6th position now as Brenton Hobson takes the pole position at time. Fantastic lap from Brenton Hobson, one of the new drivers in the series there. Just absolutely making his mark with a 23.037. That is one heck of a fast lap.
That is very, very quick. That's almost a 10th clear of Josh Micklemore, who we just pumped up to the size of the moon.
And the curse of the commentator strikes once more.
Just about rounded out. I think Matty Raymond, he's stuck back into pit lane. How much time have we got left here? Only about 30 seconds. So no one out on track running at the moment. Brenton West is, but his lap won't count. Ryan Jones, interesting enough, only done one lap. He must have had an incident, did he?
He made a big mistake coming off the final corner. He actually went up into the wall, clipped the wall, and then straight down into the inside barrier on pit lane. And that's something you're going to have to watch out for tonight in the race, is if you do clip that wall, it's very easy to go into the barriers here at Dover. And despite it looking like despite being quite a wide track in all honesty, it has got those barriers either side of it, and that can spin a car around and cause a lot of issues.
It's one of those tracks that while it is a wide surface, the actual racing line that you want to be on is a lot narrower than it looks, and it can be quite tricky when you're running side by side coming through corners that to the point where certain cars may end up colliding, as we may see tonight.
Absolutely, as we start to grid up here. So let's go through the qualifying order as they finish. So Brenton Hobson takes pole for this first Xfinity race in the Thunder here on FGM eCast. Great job for him, with Josh Micklemore on the outside row of row 1. Second row, we've got Hamish Gallagher with Edward Foster. Third row, Jaden Russell with Tristan Koch. Fourth row, we have Brenton West with Justin Howe. Fifth is Dave Douglas and Norman Clark. Sixth, we have Kate Donnelly and Ruben Phelps. Seventh row, we have Christopher Finley with Aidan Schultz. Eighth row, we have Stephen Williams with Troy Davidson. On the ninth row is Matt Hunter and Mirko Dornak. 10th row, we have Joshua Carroll-Walden with Jacob Burke. The 11th row is Aaron Dillon with Ben Vickers. With row 12 to Michael Schroeder and Jamie Nagnavaris. Good to see you back out there. Row 14, I think I'm 14, is Scullock and Jones with Matty Raymond and Gary Wellman behind them. And final row of the grid is Nigel Patton with Philip Howe rounding out the 30 cars out there tonight.
A little bit of a mix-up there, I think, with the back of the grid. We've got Jones, Raymond, Wellman, Patton, Skurlock, and Howe as the end out there. So one of those two will be right. I think maybe...
I believe Skurlock's actually not in the session at the moment.
I think he might have dropped out. So, unfortunately, he's not there, which is disappointing. I was looking to see him run from the back of the field and see what sort of result he could achieve from there. But we've got 150 laps here tonight, and it's round 1 of the Thunder Series. Quick mention for AJ Insurance Services, our series, I should say our channel partner, and in fact running on the Natari auto sports car tonight, being driven by one Edward Foster. So that car there is running the AJ Insurance Services livery as well. So a big thank you to them for supporting our stream and our cause. And if you're in the market for some insurance broking services, commercial, business, or even personal, give Joe Daly and the team a call at AJ Insurance Services. They are based out of Sydney, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can't give them a call and have a chat with them if you are based interstate, of course, with us broadcasting across the universe, and they will look after you. So the 53 there, Edward Foster, my apologies, with the AJ Insurance Services livery on it. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the evening tonight as we get ready to take this one away with Brenton Hobson on the pole.
As the pace car peels into pit lane, Hobson is going to lead away. It's his first time in the series, so you can see how well he does on this start. Of course, you go on the leader, not on the green, so he's waiting to go, and it's his choice to go. He finally drops the hammer, gets the loud pedal down. Josh Micklemore gets a good start on the outside row. Micklemore's going to have that high line at the moment. That should give him a little bit of a better exit. Good start from a lot of people, though. Looks like it's been clean so far.
Yeah. We see a couple of cars still sticking it side by side as we have a look through the next few corners. I believe it looks like Hamish Gallagher slipped into third there. He got a decent start, but unfortunate for Micklemore, just couldn't quite hang around the outside through 1 and 2 there.
didn't quite get it working. Justin Howe just caught the wall a little bit further down the field, so he's just had a little bit of a moment. So he's luckily back in the straight line and keeping it going. So not too much damage for that car, just a little nick on it. And obviously here at Dover, it's not going to cause too much of an issue. But Brendan Hobson doing a great job of starting the race and getting out in front, doing what he needs to do from that pole position.
Yeah, definitely. It's really good to see some of the new guys taking it to the best out there, and it'll be good to see how him and Micklemore finish out the race, and then who can hold onto the tyres better, because it's certainly going to be a case of if we reflect on races in the past, who can hold onto the rubber the longest here.
Very much so, and it's one of the things as well it's going to do is it does shake things up a little bit, because when you're used to racing with everybody, you sort of know everybody quite well, of course, and you know how they race. When you've got a lot of new faces in the field, especially when they are higher up the order, like we've got here, we've got 3 rookies in the top 10 at the moment. It does throw you out a little bit if you've never raced them before on the ovals. You don't know quite how they're going to react to you, so it can sometimes throw you off a little bit, can't it?
Definitely, but from the looks of it, and then some of the pace and the way they were driving in practice, they might be rookies to ANZCAR, but I doubt these guys are rookies to oval racing from the pace and the way that they've been driving.
Just
and
about to say,
they're taking.
You're spot on. Like, you've got to look at some of the cars that they're in front of. Edward Foster, obviously a series stalwart. Brenton Hobson qualified in front of him, and Josh Micklemore. Hamish Gallagher, extremely pacey at the moment. Cade Donnelly, Ruben Phelps, the drivers that we normally mention every week in, week out. And these new guys just jumped up the front and running really well at the start, when it's probably the highest risk that they, might make a mistake or do something a little silly if they're inexperienced. So it'll be interesting to see how they go up managing their tyres. Disappointing Luke Trahair's not running tonight. He's really good at managing his tyres and managing his car throughout a race, just to see how they fare against drivers who we know how can run across 150 laps. So yeah, plenty to see here tonight. It's really good to see so many new faces.
And a couple of old faces who have found themselves a bit further down the pack is Joshua Carl-Walden and Ryan Jones will be ones to watch as they start to move forward as well. Now that the edges off the tyres and some of the old wise heads will start to kick in.
Jason Dummy's actually got quite a bit of damage, yeah. I'm sorry, Stuart.
You're right, mate. No, you're right. I think if we really did some digging, I don't think it's going to take us too long to find out where that damage has come from. I think he's just given Matty Hunter a little bit of attention there, because there's a fair bit of damage on the back of Hunter's car too.
I think there may have been a concertina in that, because Aidan Schultz has got quite a bit of damage on the back of his car as well. So I wonder if there's been a bit of a nose to tail at some point there.
It was JCW into the back of Aidan Schultz, so that's what happened there. So there was a bit of a check-up in front of them, and they got caught up with each other there. So that solved that little mystery. But yeah, quite a bit of damage out there for a few cars at the back. But obviously, you don't want damage on a car, but it's not the worst place to have a little bit of aero damage, of course, Dover. It's not a super aero-intensive track.
Bit of a moment there for Norman Clark. I think he got up into the outside wall out of 2 there and checked up the pack a little bit.
It's rather remiss of me, of course. There's all of the Atari Autosport boys are running the AJ Insurance livery as well, so apologies for that.
It is a very nice livery, I have to say, and thank you, massive thank you to AJ Insurance for helping out with the broadcast.
Absolutely. So they've actually got 4 cars out there, I believe, with Norman JCW, and we've got Ed Foster running it as well. So, sorry, 3 cars out there on that, letting it down.
Ruben Phelps just got very lucky as Mr. Double D, Dave Douglas, made a uncharacteristic mistake going into the final set of corners, went up into the wall, quite a bit of damage to the front right hand corner of that car, almost collected Ruben as well, but he's managed to keep that car going. So good save from Dave, and you can see there on the stream right now, you can see that damage over the front right wheel there, quite a lot of damage to that, hopefully none to the actual suspension geometry of that car, so that should keep it going. Justin Howe, as we said before, has a little bit of damage on that car as well, so a few people out there getting a couple of kisses off the Dover walls.
Well,
one
there's too much
redeeming
damage.
factor that might help them is the fact that the Xfinity car does have a lot less downforce than the other two NASCAR series, is the fact that a little rub on the wall may not kill the car. It's going to hurt you, it's definitely going to hurt pace and everything, but it might be, a bit of a get out of jail free card that definitely come later on when you've got fresher tyres.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking through the field, and Aaron Dillon's got quite a lot of damage on his car as well. Big hit to the front of that vehicle.
Oh, and there's a bit of contact there between JCW and Aiden Schultz.
And that is bringing out the caution. A big impact there. It's been around for Aiden Schultz. The JCW involved in that will try and get back for that one for the replay, as I'm sure Stuart's busy.
Well, it's
Gathering
JCW.
that one.
It's JCW, unfortunately, just getting into that left-hand rear panel of Aiden Schultz while he was minding his own business there. So that's spun him around, and he'll have to jump into pit lane and have a look at that one.
I reckon that's a little bit 50-50 there, because I think Aiden does come down a little bit on him. Josh has got a bit of overlap. It's almost what you call a racing incident there.
Yeah, we'll have a look at it from Aiden's on board then as well.
Now, luckily, Aiden got very uncharacteristically lucky there and avoided a lot of cars, so not too much damage to that car. Good to see for Schultzy there, so hopefully that car isn't too damaged and he can keep going, because it's not looking too bad at the moment, but we'll try and get that a little bit more. It's very tricky to see at that angle, but big impact, but luckily it doesn't look like it's caused too much damage to it, just a bit of bodywork damage, but of course the thing you have to worry about is the cooling damage that can cause. But as you can see, it's just very close there between those two, and JCW just getting caught on that front side, and that's the bit that spins Aiden Schultz around.
Yeah, I think you might be right in hindsight there. 50-50, too hard to call, so racing incident. Apologies to JCW there for jumping the gun a little bit early. We sort of saw it live, but didn't quite get to see the whole thing. So Aiden Schultz back out there now. Majority of the field, of course, taking the opportunity to jump through pit lane. Are there limits on tyre sets here tonight, Carl? Do you know?
There is, yes. I was just about to mention that, Stuart, because you saw a lot of drivers staying out. We've had 9 drivers stick out there because there is 4 sets of tyres tonight. So they are limited to 4 sets of tyres. So they've used one for the starter course. So there's only 3 sets left. We've only done 17 laps, so not far into this run. So coming in now, I'd imagine a few people have come in rather than just throwing some new tyres on there, just coming in more for fuel stops than anything else.
Yeah, it's an unusual one to come in this early, especially with the fact that Dover is quite known to be a bit of a tyre killer. I would have thought, being that you're limited to a total of 3 sets, but staying out would be the smarter option here. But you might be well right with the fuel. If they're tight on fuel, it could be a case that this little splash and dash might shorten you and give you one less pit stop come the end.
Yeah, I've just been flicking through, and a few cars did take some tyres, but a lot of cars just coming in to get a little bit of go juice on board, and also get a few repairs done as well, get a couple of panels being back into shape, and things looking a little bit smarter on those cars. But what this has done is elevated Edward Foster up into the lead.
Indeed. And you're going to ask a question if he stayed out there, and I was just looking at those who went with him. Foster, Donnelly, Howe, Christopher Finlay, Norm Clark, Stephen Williams, all stayed out as well. So some esteemed company there. Of course, Mirko Dirtnak as well. Yeah, interesting strategy choice. We'll see who it plays out.
So 9 cars stayed out there, so everybody from Brenton West down pitted. So that's the important thing. So it's got some traffic between the leaders and those guys that came in to get a little bit more fuel on board, and a couple of people changing tyres. So that's going to help them out a little bit. Obviously, what they're going to hope for is a nice green run for maybe about 40 or so laps more, and then a caution to come out in about 40 laps time to allow them to come in and get some fuel and not lose track position.
I'm a little bit baffled myself, actually, because the track position is very strong here at Dover, so it's an unusual one. I think the only reason you'd come down is if you were tight on fuel or if you wanted tyres, but yeah, with the limited sets, I don't know, I'm confused, but they're smarter than I. They're out there racing.
Just
There's a reason
back,
some of them have got wins.
just looking back at we need to come up with a new name for him. Matty Raymond, he Captain Clean Car or something like that. He's back in the pack still. He's up 7 positions from where he qualified, and that Camaro's mint.
Mr. Sheen.
Mr. Sheen, that's a good one. Mr. Sheen, maybe we'll call him Mr. Sheen from now on. But he just manages to do it every race. Even last night, on Monday night, his truck was pristine.
Yeah, he's a very good driver, actually, Matt. He's a good one to race with. You always know that when you come up on him, it's going to be a good, clean fight.
I was about to say, Lockie, don't sell yourself too short. You are the reigning ARCA champion, of course, and you do have wins in ANZCAR, so you're selling yourself a bit short as the pace car comes in. Foster's going to lead away in the 53 with Kate Donnelly on the 40 on the outside.
Just on board here with Justin Howe, just to get an idea on when they jump, and there he goes. Look at that. Look at the start there from Foster, and Justin Howe's going to go with him. Kate Donnelly missing the boat a little bit there. We'll jump out on board and see how this plays out.
It's like the leaders have all spread themselves out quite quickly there. No one's still running side by side, which is going to help them hold off some of the guys on fresher tyres as they start to move forward.
Yeah, I was just looking down the field a little bit. I was actually just checking out Aiden Schultz because I sort of noticed a car in the middle of the pack. He sort of jumped to the middle of the track after the restart and just got swallowed up by cars. So obviously he's got a little bit of damage to that engine first for acceleration, so just struggling a little bit. But he's managed to keep it out there, but did lose a lot of positions on that restart.
Yeah, he's just getting mauled still at the moment. Just down on the inside there. I think it's Troy Davison has just gone down underneath him. He's just trying to fight that one away. He'd be happy for a few cautions here to jump through the pit lane a couple of times and get some of that damage repaired. So we'll keep an eye on his progress as he makes his way back up through the race. The other one as well is Dave Douglas down in 24th. Even with that damage, he might have stopped in a couple of times as well just to get repairs to the 199. But he's currently in 23rd position now, just going past Schultz as well.
I believe he started right at the back of the tail because he stayed in the pit lane to get as much as he could fixed under the caution. So that explains why he's moved a bit further back.
Justin Howe just makes a big contact with the wall up the front as he was fighting side by side with Kate Donnelly. I was about to say Justin Howe doing a good job. He worked his way up past Donnelly, but he's caught the wall and catches it again.
Ooh, that's going to be a lot of damage to that car. He's going to really start to struggle here.
On the age, Steve Williams as well, putting pressure on him. So
the commentator kicks in straight away there as Stephen Williams just gets caught on the outside and loses a couple of positions. Just as soon as you mention it, Stuart, it's just it all goes wrong.
Well, I don't want to put the mockers on anyone else, but Ryan Jones doing a great job. He's up 20 spots at the moment. It did go in through pit lane as well, and of course he didn't get a qualifying lap in. Currently running in 5th. That's a great job.
That's it. Ryan Jones has the luck of course, being a fellow commentator, so generally immune to curses, commentators. So I think that's why everybody jumps up here in the booth, just so they can get immunity to the old curses. But Ryan Jones doing a good job running up there, and he's got some serious pace underneath him, just getting past Hamish Gallagher and working his way up the field at the moment. Brenton Hobson doing a good job as well. He's worked his way up back into 2nd place right here. So he's just got past, and they're flying past Kate Donnelly there, and now they're chasing down the 53 of the Natari Autosport, Edward Foster.
I mean, the speed and the pace that Brenton's got there, I would almost guarantee he took tyres under that last caution along with Ryan Jones, but I can't be too certain. But yeah, he's definitely got a lot more pace, and I would say it's only a matter of time before he gets up and past Ed here.
Yeah, they're looking very pacey out there at the moment. Another car on the fly at the moment is Joshua Carroll-Walden. He is working his way up the field as well. He's just shot his way past Justin Howe and Mirko Dortnack, and just absolutely flying out there as well. So a few cars have got some good pace out there, and as you said, I think a few of them did take some tyres, and those on the fresh rubber, you can see just the advantage that they're getting at the moment, as up at the front Foster is coming under pressure and losing 2 positions to Brenton Hobson, and Ryan Jones. Is he going to lose a 3rd? He is to Hamish Gallagher.
I was just looking at the pit times there to try and give you guys an understanding of who did what. I think 14.9 and 14.9 for Hobson and Jones. Not too many throughout the field though, with a variance on that stationary time. They've got Gary Wellman at 5.9, so they've only taken fuel. So 1, 2, 3, probably at least a dozen cars taking tyres at that first stop.
if it does go green from here and there is no more cautions, it may well play into the favour to have taken tyres. But I think Ed won't be too upset at this stage that those cars will be going past, because he'll know if we do get any more cautions, it's really going to hurt them, the fact that they're going to be stuck out there on old tyres because they'll be running out of sets.
And that's all part
Two
of the
sets to
strategy.
go.
It's all part of the strategy game now. Is working out your tyre sets, and that's the big thing as well. Obviously, trucks, it's a little bit more lenient, no limit to tyres, so you can chuck a fresh pair on whenever you like, and it makes it a tad easier. You got to say, not that it's easy to run these cars, but it does help out a little bit with not having to worry and work your way through tyre strategy quite as much. But when you have those limited sets, it really does limit you, and you've got to think about those pit stops carefully, because if you get caught out, it's very easy to lose a lot of positions.
And on the topic of tyres, one thing I wanted to point out earlier, and I didn't quite get the chance, is if you actually watch some of the drivers coming in through the corners, Dover is an interesting track where you'll see them take a bit of a diamond shape to try and look after the tyres a bit. So they'll enter in lower, drift up in the middle of the corner, and then cut back on the exit to try and minimise the front tyre wear and use up the right rear a bit more.
Yeah, it's an important little trick to learn, that one, of just sort of squaring off the corners a little bit to get those tyres working for you. And you'll notice a lot of drivers doing it. One that tends not to is up at the front at the moment in Ryan Jones. He's running... A lot of those cars are actually just running that really low line at the moment and just absolutely hammering it, as Jones just makes contact with the wall. I'd say he was immune to the old curse of the commentator, but maybe not so much. But he is very much going for speed rather than tyre preservation at the moment.
And I think he's got a bit of a precedence for that, because there's been a few times where Ryan's really put out a big gap, and then in about 10 laps he's lost it all instantly. So it'd be interesting to see if he can hold on to the tyres, or if he's going to start falling into the back of Hobson and Gallagher and Micklemore.
Speaking of falling back, Ed Foster has dropped back to 7th. He is the lead car on old tyres, with Cade Donnelly for company in the same situation. JCW in 9th on new tyres, Steve Williams in 10th on old tyres as well. So a little bit of a mixed bag, but definitely those new tyres helping Jones, Hobson, Gallagher, Micklemore, Russell and Ruben Phelps.
Yeah, to give you a bit of an idea on sort of time-wise, last time round Ryan Jones was a 24.1, whereas Edward Foster was a 24.7. That's the difference in speed. But this time round Ryan Jones was a 24.3, so losing 0.2 of a second there. It's starting to fall away a little bit as it goes. So it's just getting into that stage now where I think they might be just starting to wear those tyres in a little bit and just losing a bit of speed.
I think Hobson might actually start to be getting a bit closer to the back of Jones as well the last few laps. So might not be long before we start seeing a bit of action for the lead.
Right on board now with Brenton Hobson. See if we can pick that up. They're also approaching some lap traffic, so that's going to add another complexity to things here, of course, as it always does. And you can see there the gap certainly closing up. Indeed, he's eating him up. And it will be a moment or two before we get exactly what you're talking about.
Last time round he was 0.2 quicker, Hobson, so won't be long.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. Those guys behind Jones now are absolutely eating him up and just catching him hand over fist. They're about 3 quicker than him in those last couple of laps. How's it going to be this time round? Jones is going to set a 24.6, and you can see just how much faster they are as they go down the inside. 24.6 compared to a 24.5, and you can see that time really making it out now as you see Hamish Gallagher and Brenton Hobson getting past Ryan Jones. Josh Micklemore is going to make the move, as well as Jaden Russell as well. So those guys just biding their time a little bit, not pushing too hard, and it is paying off for them now.
That was tight between the lap car there, Ryan Jones.
Yeah, Nigel
Apologies for the loud noise.
Patton there. No, absolutely. Nigel Patton there, just trying to do the right thing, but almost running out of room. And Michael Schroeder doing the same thing. So it did get out of the way there. Of course, there's no requirement for them to either.
Actually, would have scared Ryan there a little bit anyway.
it's a better way than coffee to wake you up. Generally, it does wake you up pretty quickly and make you pay attention again. Just looking through the times now, actually, and it's starting to balance off a little bit for the drivers. Just looking at Foster's times, those last times around, he was a 24.8, whereas a lot of the guys in front of him were a 25. Fastest guy out there at the moment is Hamish Gallagher, 24.4. So those tyres are starting to plateau a little bit, and the advantage that they had on the fresh tyres is falling away a little bit, not as good as it was before. So expect to see Foster starting to close up a little bit on this battle. A guy that's also closing up on this is Ruben Phelps, who's worked his way up there and doing a great job as usual with Ruben in the lovely Hot Wheels liveried car. He is working his way up there. He's currently in 6th position and just quietly working his way up the field, and not doing anything too sort of outrageous, but just easily working his way up there, and being an impressive driver this year, Ruben.
I love this livery. It's one of my favourites out there tonight, I think. I'm a big fan of the Kyle Petty livery when he ran it back on the 44, and I love the fact that Ruben's decided to bring it out, give it his own twist, put his own sponsors on there, and it looks awesome. So massive props to Ruben for that one. He's done a really good job on it.
Very relatable livery for just about everyone.
Definitely. I think we've all played with our Hot Wheels before, especially those of us on iRacing.
Absolutely, and those of us with kids where it's okay to make excuses for playing with them again.
I think it's always okay, doesn't matter if you've got kids or not.
Yeah, true that. So I'm a massive Larry Perkins man, so the Castrol livery of Steve Williams always grabs my attention. I absolutely love it, so it's probably my choice for this evening. But obviously not one that's all that original, because it's been done plenty of times, but I love it still. It's a classic. Someone was running, I thought I saw before actually, the Shell V-Power livery, but that might have been just before Trading Paints kicked in, so because I haven't spotted that car back out there yet.
I've got a big shout out for Brenton West with the Tom's Toyota Castrol livery. Absolutely awesome little livery.
The Supra. Yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever played Gran Turismo, you know that car well. Back in the day, that was one of the dream cars for us all when we were playing Gran Turismo. Before we knew better.
I was going to say the worst thing was that it was a reward car for completing, I think, like the Endurance series or something, and it was an absolute bucket of bolts. It was horrible to drive. It had plenty of power, but it just didn't turn at all. It was rubbish.
That's it. It looks good though, and that's the most important thing. Up at the front, Brendan Hobson is defending Hamish Gallagher at the moment, putting in a absolute stellar defence to a fast and hard charging Gallagher, who is absolutely pacing the field at the moment, setting some of the fastest laps on track at this time. So Gallagher has really got some pace underneath him. Obviously, Tay is giving him the power to get that power on the floor and try and make an attempt for first place.
Ryan Jones here. I'm sorry, to cut across there. Ryan Jones is just under pressure from Jaden Russell as well.
Something happened a few minutes ago. A little bit of contact between Matt Hunter and the number 90 of Nigel Patton. Patton got into the wall and Hunter just drove into the back. All's good and ends well though, because they're both still running, I believe.
Yeah, big show for Matt Hunter. Big show for Matt Hunter there to get that damage on the front of the car, because he's having a good run up there in 9th position. Still a serious hunter, and of course one of the admins of the server. It's good to see him up there in the top 10 and doing a good job running up there, but he's got a fast charging Stephen Williams chasing him down at the moment, coming back from that little bit of a mistake.
I believe Stephen Williams has got his hands full at the moment though with Cade Donnelly, as they're having a nice little battle between them, and Gary Wellman and Vickers aren't far behind either, so that could be one to watch at the moment as they get all over each other.
Yeah, coming up on the lap traffic as well, again it's Michael Schroeder who's on the screen, but he just sticks to the high line there, and the guys fall into line. It's going to give Steve Williams a little bit of a breath while the guys catch up again. Gary Wellman just putting a move down the inside of Cade Donnelly, not quite able to get down underneath there. The 77 of Ben Vickers as well is just sniffing around to see what he can get involved in, and there's that 113 of Brenton West as well. So good spotting, boys. This is the battle at the moment. All of these drivers, sorry, my apologies, in fact we've got bar Cade Donnelly, all these drivers are on fresh tyres. fresh in inverted commas. Of course, they are a few laps old now.
There's a bit of a move going on for P6 as well at the moment as Foster and Phelps are switching spots.
Yeah, I also don't have Stephen Williams down as pitting either on my system, so there is that. But yeah, Foster is starting to close in a bit. His lap times have been very consistent, and he's just slowly working his way back up there. And the time that those guys made up on those fresh tyres is starting to fall away a little bit from them now as they're starting to wear down a little bit, and they might have gone a little bit too hard too quickly, some of them, and just tried to pull out too much of an advantage because they better got a bit too cheap for them, a bit too much wear, and are now suffering a little bit.
Unfortunately, I believe the ex-commentator Dave Douglas has actually just dropped a lap there, so the damage clearly a little bit too much for him to be able to hold on to the pace of that one.
Yeah, definitely struggling at that. Quite a lot of damage on that right front, as we said. But, it's not over yet for Dave. I mean, we've seen cars come from a lap down to take wins before. It's not unheard of course. So things could turn back in his favour, of course. You never know in oval racing, in ANZCAR and NASCAR, of course. Things do happen, and they often come out of nowhere.
Unfortunately, I don't think Michael Skurlock's racing tonight, Carl, so I don't think we're going to have any miracles.
I was about to say, if he comes on now, a good 30-odd lap, 58 laps down and wins it, then that would be some kind of miracle.
Definitely. Sorry, Stuart, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're right. You're right. It happens when there's three of us and there's plenty going on, so not a problem at all. As Brenton Hobson still in the lead here, and he's got Hamish Gallagher for company, just making their way through past the 104 of Christopher Finlay there. I was just going to get your opinions, guys, on when, if at all, we're going to start seeing some green, or we're going to have to, when we're going to see green flag pit stops potentially coming into this.
Not long from now, actually. I think last time I drove these around here, I think it was about 63, 64 laps to a tank. So the guys that stayed out under that first caution won't be far off, and I think it'll be about 10, 15 laps before the next guys start peeling in.
We've actually seen one green flag stop that I noticed, and that was Tristan Cox coming in. Tristan's come in and slapped some new tyres and got some fuel in there, and he's going to try a little bit of see what he can do now, because he's dropped 3 laps down, so not in a great position at the moment. But if those tyres light up and he can start making his way and getting a few positions up, he could gain a few positions when and if these guys all pit under green.
Winning the long game.
Yeah, that's it, trying for that long sort of a little bit of short-term gain at the moment for the undercut, but trying for that longer one. As I see somebody else coming into pit lane at the moment. I think that's Matt Hunter coming in. Oh, a lot of damage on the front of that car. I think that's more of a... he's actually lost it coming into pit lane. Hunter's lost the rear end and spun it. Well, he's lost it coming into pit lane and hit the buckets on the pit lane, gone straight into the wall. So here he's there. He's not managed to turn it in time, not braked it enough, and bang, straight in there. That's going to be a lot of damage to that engine.
And to add insult to injury, he's missed his pit box as well. He skidded forward on the brakes, so that's certainly not been the most ideal run for him, and that's a shame because he was running up in the top 10 at that point as well.
An easy mistake to make, and I think we've all done it. If we've raced ovals, we've made that mistake coming into pit lane. It's an easy thing to do, and it's not easy getting off the accelerator and getting into pit lane in any of these any NASCAR contender, Xfinity, Cup or Truck Series, of course.
And it's especially exaggerated by the fact we watched Ryan Jones do it in the pit in practice as well, and as I was watching the practice before we started, there was a few cars that did it as well. So you're spot on. It's a difficult one, especially around Dover, which is such a high-speed short track. Like, it's only a mile long, but the speeds are incredible when you get into it and you start driving it. It can throw you out quite easily.
And of course, not known for their great braking capability. These cars as well. They're not exactly a GT3 car for the brakes, are they?
Oh no, I think I've heard people describe them as all sorts of things. Wet paper rag with a block of wood, I think was once I've heard them described as. So yes, no, they're not amazing, the brakes in these vehicles.
Right, and it's what makes it so difficult on these slightly shorter tracks and sort of road circuits as well in American stock cars. Very, very tricky when you are braking in them. It's so easy to make a mistake, and it is so easy for you tonight to go from semi-good to horrific.
Yes, as we've just basically witnessed with Hunter losing it out of the 10 there. I'm sure he'll get back out there and pick up some points, because he seems to have a bit of pace in this car. So he'll be hoping to maybe consolidate and look forward to next week.
Well, that's the big thing, of course, if you're not used to stock car racing, if this is your first time joining us. First of all, big thank you and welcome to the stream, and welcome to the wonderful world of oval racing for the Australian leagues here in ANZCAR. But it's a lot of points on the table, of course. You know, it's not like some of the other championships where you only score points down to 10th position. There are points all the way through the field, and you know, finishing in 20th position can be the difference between a title run and sort of missing out.
So it's certainly with some of the with real life it's a bit different, but the way we run our series, it's based on points and accumulating points. So consistency is the big one, especially with such long seasons. Like 12 weeks to a season is quite a lot when all things considered. So it's definitely about keeping it running and keeping it clean.
Yeah, very much so, and not nearly as long as the Cup, of course, which is never ending. I think the Cup goes on for at least 7 years in its championship series. But we're seeing a few bidders coming in. Yeah, it's nothing. Mirko Dortnack coming into pit lane as well, so we've got a few of those green flag stoppers. A few people that didn't stop earlier on are stopping now, so won't be long till we see probably Edward Foster coming in. I think I saw, who was that coming in just then? A couple of people are coming in though, so we have got stoppers coming in. So I'd say we'll probably see Foster coming in the next 5 or so laps at least.
Yeah, definitely, and getting an early pit stop may be the difference at this stage in giving you quite a big undercut. But at the other end of it, as we watched with Edward, who pulled back on Ruben Phelps and also pulled in on some of the likes of Jones, getting that early undercut can come back to bite you later in the race.
Yeah, that's it. Foster has gained right back onto the tail of Ryan Jones right now, so he's doing a good job there.
Quite a gap there as well, just keeping on board with him. 104 there of Christopher Finlay. He came up there in a hell of a hurry, and I think that is because he's not on fresher tyres. Oh yeah, he is. He's just he's done his stops. He's on fresher tyres there, which, as you can see, the speed difference is massive. So wait for these pit stops to happen, and Ed's done a good job managing the race here. As Stephen Williams jumping in, so he's managed to get that pulled up in the Castrol Toyota Tundra. It's not a Tundra. What is it? A Supra. My apologies. He's managed to get that pulled up in the Supra, and he's going to serve his pit stop. So at the moment himself, I've got Norm Clark and Ed Foster as the only cars on my list so far who have not stopped, along with Cade Donnelly. Yeah,
and unfortunately, it seems like there's a few cars that are getting that are racing wrong numbers out there tonight. So it's the contact.
Wow. Just seeing Ryan Jones there just get up into the side of Ed Foster. That will not go down that well.
No, they managed to keep it going. But just in some breaking news, as I said, there's been a few cars out there racing the wrong numbers, and that's a big no-no in the ANZCAR series, because that's pretty much an instant disqualification for the end of the race and things like that. So Jaden Russell, and unfortunately our leader Brenton Hobson, he's running 54, but he's got the 88 on the car, so he is going to get into trouble for that one, which is not what we want to see, and a bit unfortunate, but rules are rules, unfortunately.
I believe there's another car, Jacob Burke, who's a couple laps down at this stage from an incident, who's also going to get a DQ for that one as well, which, well, rules are there for a reason, and you breach the rules, you got to do the time. Unfortunate, but they won't do it again anyway.
That's it, as we've got a herd of cars coming in for green flag stops. So you saw Foster is in, we've got Matty Raymond coming in this time round, Ryan Jones is in the pits as well, so fair few people coming in for their pit stops now and making it in there, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. If it remains green from here, it could work out quite well for them. Obviously, it's all a big if. If you stay out there, though, and it remains green, if you get that caution, you stay out there, that's where it's going to really pay off for you. And those guys that stopped a little bit later, this could help them out if they get a late caution.
Yeah. Just looks like Hamish Gallagher's being held up by a lap car here. He's perfectly entitled to do it, but it's certainly letting Brent Hobson get away here.
As Hobson and Gallagher are both coming into pit lane this time around. They're going to coming in, so couldn't make it too much longer than some of those other guys, obviously. There was the caution, which allows you to save a little bit of fuel, and getting that little bit of extra fuel on board does help a little bit, but they are getting there. As you see, Josh Micklemore now in the lead, just getting swarmed by cars on those fresh tyres.
I believe we're about to see a few drivers here removed for incorrect numbers, which is unfortunate, but as I said before, rules are rules. As we've seen, Jaden Russell's copped a DQ there for that one as well.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, as we say, but as we do say, rules are very much rules, and we've got it in the series for that reason, just to make our lives easier for cooling. But it's we don't like to see it as Josh Micklemore is coming into pit lane as well. We don't want to see it because it's nice to see some people out there doing good jobs, but yeah, unfortunately it is part of the series rules, and if you don't read those rules carefully, it can leave you in a position where you don't make it to the end.
That's going to leave us with, I believe, Hamish Gallagher will be our leader once the pit cycles come out. But at the moment, we've got JCW leading the pack, hasn't stopped, along with Josh Micklemore and Ben Vickers.
And Dave Douglas as well up the front here, so he's currently sitting in third. Of course, he pitted on lap 16, he's still got to pit again.
A late caution could really help Dave out here, though. This could be the saviour that he needs if he gets a caution right now. Same with JCW actually out there at the front with Ben Vickers. A caution right now could really, really help them out.
I believe that. I bet you JCW will just be chanting yellow, yellow, yellow to the ANZCAR gods right now. He'll be begging for that to come out.
If you listen carefully to the air, you can probably hear it.
He's probably loud enough, that one.
So it's not one of those ones where you got to put your ear down to the ground to try and hear it, not with JCW, so...
No, I think I can hear him right now. He's just chanting yellow, yellow, yellow.
Just as long as he isn't the one that causes it.
No, we don't want to see that beautiful AJ Insurance car up in the fence there.
Yeah, he's doing a good job out there. He's got it loose a couple of times, though. Those tyres definitely dropping off, so... He's had a couple of dodgy moments down on the exit of turns 3 and 4, so that car is definitely getting loose, and I think he's coming into pit lane probably shortly. I thought he was coming in this time round because I heard him lifting quite a bit, but he is really running it right up against the wall at the moment, putting everything he can into that car and seeing what he can do at this stage.
I believe the longest we saw some of those guys out there on the first run was about sort of lap 70, lap 72, 73, so he shouldn't be too far away, Josh. Maybe 1 or 2 more laps left in the tank of that one.
Yeah, he's really pushing it right as far as he can at the moment, and obviously a bit of fuel saving there and a little bit of saving the car as much as you can to try and get there, but it's only a matter of time, really. It's not going to be much longer before he's going to have to come into pit lane as we see Dave Douglas coming in.
Dave did pit on lap 16 as well, so he's pulled the pin. We've just got JCW and Ben Vickers now as the only 2 cars out there who did pit last on lap 16.
And I believe we'll see the 35 in this lap as well here. Just come across the all teams radio.
Yeah, definitely coming in, slowing that car down, and just got to get it into pit lane, which is not as easy as you say. It's easier said than done sometimes, but he gets it in and slows that car down. How long will Ben Vickers be able to make it now? He's got a similar strategy. He probably is going to be coming in this time round as well, I'd say, unless he's got a little tiny bit left in the tank. He's going to go around for another time. This is going to give Vickers a little bonus point and a little tick to say that he's led a lap. So always nice to get that. It's a nice feeling to have led a lap in an ANZCAR race.
Definitely.
Just speaking of that as well, a big shout out to those new drivers that unfortunately got caught out with the numbers. Great job out there tonight, and we hope to see you back because, yeah, you put on a great show out there, and just hopefully everything will be sorted out for the next round for you guys.
Ben's sticking it out there, so he might have been saving a bit of fuel in that run there, like, just to try and drag it out a bit longer. So
yeah, Ben was one of those guys that did come in early on, so he did make a stop in that caution. So he's got a little bit of extra fuel than some of the others, but he's done 75 laps on this stint, so a mega stint for fuel saving there. But you just got to be careful not to run it completely dry, of course.
bit of a shout out to JCW here. He's actually made quite the net gain on the cars around him. He's right up behind Matty Raymond and Gary Wellman. He's going to tear right through him here, so he's not that far off Hamish Gallagher either.
As Ben Vickers gets caught in the back by the number 40, who was that? Sorry, Kay Donnelly there just caught Ben Vickers in the back and almost spun him around. Actually, that was very close to getting a caution that Ben Vickers wouldn't have wanted. He doesn't want to be the one that has that caution caused for him, but he's still sticking it out there, doing one heck of a fuel save out there, managing to make it 76 laps on that run. He's coming in this time though.
Big effort from him, but I think, yeah, like you said, just started to lose a bit too much pace at the end there. Maybe it's going to come back to bite him, who knows. I believe he was running around that 11, 12, 13 mark before the pit stop, so we'll see how he pops out here at the end.
Yeah, see how it all plays out, of course, but we did see JCW make up a fair few positions coming in with that sort of alternate strategy almost, and the good thing for JCW is going to be he's going to have those slightly fresher tyres towards the end of the stint as well, so he's going to be on slightly fresher tyres while others around him will be falling off a little bit. So for himself and Ben Vickers, it could work out quite well. I think Ben Vickers is just exiting the pit lane, currently in around about 12th, 13th position, so just behind Kay Donnelly and Mirko Dortnak, I think, so he should just be in about that group there. So good run for him getting up there. It's going to be a big fight once he gets back out there, but at the moment Hamish Gallagher in the lead has got a fast charging Joshua Carroll Walden right next to him getting his lap back, and you can see the difference of fresh tyres right here. Fresh tyres on JCW getting his lap back and passing Hamish Gallagher there.
That's a crucial moment right there, because if we have a caution in the next 10, 15 laps, JCW has just played himself right back into contention here by moving back past Hamish and putting himself on the tail of the lead lap.
Yeah, we only have 5 cars on the lead lap at the moment. It's quite a big drop off there of cars. This is what happens, of course. But yeah, quite a few cars that have dropped off that lead lap. Ruben Phelps is currently the next car that is trying to get his lap back, and he is catching Gallagher slightly. He's very similar lap times, but he's trying to get up there and past Gallagher at the moment and fight for that lead lap position.
Bit of the tail of the tape round over, actually, the many cars dropping laps. I think it's something I've always sort of noticed at any time driving here. Usually only end up with 5, 6, 7 cars left on the lead lap by the end. But I think it's just the nature of the circuit being such a fast, high-paced circuit, but also being quite short. It leads itself to little mistakes costing quite a lot of time.
Yeah, very much so, as we are just about to tick over for lap 100 here. So as Hamish Gallagher crosses the line for the 100th lap, we're going to have 50 to go. So we are very much getting close to the end of this race. But gotta say, Hamish is doing a great job out the front at the moment. He's got a 5-second gap over his teammate Josh Micklemore. Ryan Jones in third at the moment, 11 seconds behind him, and Edward Foster up there in fourth at 2. Foster's done a good job of keeping that car going and just keeping on those older tyres earlier on. It's sort of worked out quite well for him. He's not really gained many positions, but he didn't lose as many as you would have probably expected him to.
Yeah, the only concern I have is that he only got 76 laps out of that first tank, and that was caution aided. Basically, he's going to have to do about 75 laps on this tank of fuel without a caution. It's definitely going to be tight come the end of it for that one. It'd be a one to watch there if he's going to make it on fuel.
He was leading through a little bit of that as well, though, so he'll be able to save a little bit more fuel in this than he did before. Ryan Jones also in that boat, along with Ruben Phelps. They've actually got a fair few cars just sitting around that late 70s lap marker when they pitted, so there'll be a few who might be in trouble here.
Yeah, you don't save too much fuel, unfortunately, here when you're sort of sitting behind another car, because it's more of the acceleration that chews up your fuel here. That's one of the big things, is the acceleration eats the fuel quite quickly in these cars, so you don't get much of an advantage sitting behind somebody.
One thing I have noticed actually is that Ed Foster's just silently and steadily been closing the gap back up to Ryan Jones, and if he makes that move, that'll put him into third, and we'll be able to have a chat to him later.
That could be a very fiery chat, of course. So
yes, definitely.
Just be careful what you wish for there.
Well, at the moment, he's going to have to defend off his teammate, because he's got a very fast charging teammate absolutely eating the gap behind him. Foster is being chased down at the moment by Joshua Carroll Walden. There's a straight between them at the moment, so there's a little bit of time, but JCW's lap time is about 8/10 quicker than that of Foster's.
You almost got to worry though, if Josh pushes a little too hard, he might find himself with not enough left to fight with if he gets up to the back and gets stuck in the dirty air.
It's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass, of course, as the great late Murray Walker would say.
No, you're right. The sheer speed at which he's catching onto the back of Ed, it's going to be probably won't be too much of a battle if he catches him too quickly.
Yeah, there's about a 15 to 10 lap tyre difference between those guys and JCW, so that longer stint is paying off for him now, as he's able to sort of work that car a little bit harder and take advantage of that fresher tyres and a little bit shorter pit stop time as well.
And also remembering that both Ed and Ryan have already had a bit of history in this race coming together earlier. It's definitely going to be hurting both of their cars in terms of pace, which is going to be playing into Josh's hands.
He's looking here to make that podium step, I reckon. Certainly so, just up on the back of the 104 there, so of Christopher Finlay. It's still only those 5 cars on the lead lap. Ruben Phelps next in line to potentially unlap himself, but he's not going too much advantage Gallagher at the moment, so that may not take place, so a caution here would be interesting.
I'd be watching the Edward Foster Ryan Jones battle if you want to worry about a caution. This could be definitely fiery.
Yeah, very much so. But Edward Foster has got his teammate almost on the back of him now. Just keeping an eye out as well on Ben Vickers. He's managed to get past Kay Donnelly. He's now chasing down Dave Douglas, so he's working his way up the field. He's currently sitting in 14th position. But that 13th position for Ben. But he's working his way up the field, so it's working well for him too. So good strategy call for him as well.
I believe JCW's just slipped up the inside and he's straight past Ed there, nice and easily enough. I don't believe there would have been too much fighting there. Both of them get along quite well as teammates, so there's a fair chance that Ed just went, "That's not happening," and let him go.
Oh, we were having bit of a drink and a smoke of a cigar on Friday. Me, Ed, and Joshua Carrot-Walton came to visit Adelaide, and we all managed to have a little bit of a catch-up, so they get along quite well. I can confirm that in personal taste. But JCW is right on the back of Ryan Jones at the moment. He is nose to tail at the moment, putting the pressure on. Going to see JCW really applying the screws now to Ryan Jones. How's this going to go? This could be that caution.
It was very tight into one there. JCW up the inside. Ryan almost cut him off. It looks like the tyres just not helping the Ryan there.
As JCW does make it up to third position, and it's unsettled Ryan Jones a little bit. Looks like Foster's starting to catch a little bit to him as well, so he might be able to pounce on Ryan Jones as this lap goes on, but we'll keep an eye on that battle as well, as there's starting to even out a little bit here, but the big question is, can Foster make it to the end now? And Ryan Jones, actually, because they are both on the same strategy.
550 there of Tristan Koch just ends up in the wall, got out on the marbles, and it just helped him get up into the wall there. He went past Ryan Jones in a hell of a hurry as well, so those newer tyres, as you say, absolutely paying dividends for those drivers.
I believe he came down not too long ago, about 5 or 6 laps ago, because he was short on fuel, because he pitted on lap 60, so
yeah, very much.
He's on very fresh tyres.
Yeah, Koch was one of those drivers that pitted first, those first of the green stoppers, really, trying to do something to get his race back a little bit more in his favour. We saw him up there in 6th position after qualifying, but not working out so well for him in the race, unfortunately, which is a bit of a shame to see. Just glancing down the order, we've got the 113 of Brenton West doing a good job up there in the top 10 at the moment. He has got Stormin Norman Clark behind him at the moment, and he's trying to chase down Matty Raymond as well. So good job for the first time out there in the Tom's Supra liveried car. Very nice work for him, and keeping up there in the top 10 is a good job.
It's definitely going to be interesting, because it'll be a hell of an effort to keep Norman behind. He's a wily old fox, Norman. If he's got a bit more pace than you, he'll find a way past. So it'll be one to see if you can't pick up a couple more spots here off West and Raymond as the race starts to close down.
We jumped on board with newly dubbed Mr. Sheen. His car still looking pristine. He's currently running up 18 spots. Trying to chase down Gary Wellman. Wellman pitted 1 lap later, so they're pretty even on tyre strategy at the moment, and should be right to fuel to the end, maybe a little close, but he's trying to chase down Gary Wellman for 7th position.
And we've got a path to position at the moment in 4th and 5th as Foster makes the move on Ryan Jones. Ryan just easing up and not putting too much pressure on that fight, just letting Foster brew without too much of a battle there. Those two obviously starting to struggle a little bit with tyres.
Yeah, I think that's probably the smartest decision that Ryan's made tonight there. So I think if he fought too hard, there might be a little bit of fireworks, if you know what I mean. So I think it would be good to see how Ed goes here, if he can pull away a bit, or if Ryan can stick on the back or not.
Well, Ed was good late in the tyre stint. The pack sort of came back to him a bit there, but of course that was before he got all that damage. So he'll just be trying to close this one out. I think he's a little slower than those in front of him. JCW just doing high 25s, Ed in the low 25. High 24s, Ed in the low 25s. So I think JCW here will be trying to make up ground on Josh Micklemore, but Josh has had a good clean run tonight as well. So he's got a fairly good gap into 2nd place of just under 10 seconds. So it's spread out at the front a bit.
What were we talking about before with Brenton West? He had a fast charging Norman Clark behind him. Now he has a fast driving Norman Clark in front of him. So as we said, Norman Clark just getting that stint working out a little bit better, but Brenton's not letting this one go yet. He's still trying to apply the screws and still trying to apply pressure to the back of Norman Clark's car, and still trying to hold on to position there. So good little battle for track position for those guys at the moment. But there are a few little spots up the track as well. We've got Ruben Phelps and Gary Wellman quite close to each other as well. Gary Wellman having a good night out there. He's gained 20 positions so far tonight, up there in 7th place. Next to Ryan Jones in most positions gained. Ryan Jones also getting 20 positions as well. But some very good drives out there indeed.
And you've got JCW up there, up 16, up into 3rd place. It's a very, very solid drive from that car as well. Making the most of situations and strategy.
Yeah, really good drive, and Manny Raymond as well, 18 positions too, so some big gainers out there tonight, but a few of the usual crowd, you've got to say, for ones that tend to gain quite well. It's one of those things as well, as qualifying's not the easiest thing to do in these cars, is it, Lockie? It's very easy to make a mistake, and it's so close out there as well in qualifying times. You know, it just takes the slightest little lapse of concentration or a little bit of oversteer in mid-corner, and that can cost you the difference between being in the top 10 in qualifying and, starting down there in 24th, 25th.
Well, I mean, you know, in a lot of forms of motorsport, people talk about tenths and hundredths and small margins. In NASCAR, we're talking in 3, 4, 5 digits sometimes. That's how tight it can be when it comes to lap time. So it's definitely not an easy task to try and qualify one of these beasts. But you can sort of see there is an art to it, a bit of a skill. There's you always see Josh Micklemore, Hamish Gallagher, those sorts of drivers are always up there at the front when it comes to qualifying.
And we are seeing some people coming into pit lane. We've got Jamie McNamara and Cade Donnelly in pit lane. They've done 47 laps and 45 laps, so they're getting towards the end of their little bits of stints, obviously. And this could be bad news for people like Foster. He's sort of been out there for quite a while. He's currently on 49 laps, so this will be his 50th lap. Obviously, we did see his teammate managing to pull out a mega stint before as well, so we'll see how this pans out for him. We've only got 23 laps remaining, so he's going to be very tight on fuel. What's that? He's got to do a 73 lap stint almost, so it's going to be very tight on fuel for Foster and Ryan Jones, I think.
Yeah, you almost, if you're sitting in Ed's suit there, it's not a nice thing to fall a lap down, but maybe one less lap might be able to hold on to P4 there.
Yeah, we see that in sports car racing a lot, of course, when there's times involved and things like that. Sometimes it's worth just falling back a lap just so you can make it to the end.
I was just wondering if he might. I mean, obviously it's 22 to go. There's always cautions in the air. But just wondering if it might pay, given the damage on the car, to jump through, grab some tyres and just see how he goes to run to the finish.
I think there's not enough laps left at this point because you lose about 2 laps by pitting, so it's almost a bit of a kiss goodbye to any decent position if you come down now. The only reason you'd pit would be under caution, in my belief anyway. I could be wrong. I've been proven wrong in the past, but. Yeah, I think the time lost under pit is a bit too much to consider that one as an option.
You're sitting up here in the FGM commentary booth, so we are always proven wrong by drivers out on the track. That is the common thing, of course. But I was just watching Brenton West has come in as well, so there are a lot of drivers pitting now, so I don't think this is over for sure. I think we're going to see, we might see everybody actually needing to make one more stop, other than maybe Josh Carol Walden and Ben Vickers.
I think Micklemore and Gallagher will be close. I think they stopped around about the lap 80 mark, so they might be good on fuel. So there's certainly going to be some guys that are going to be tight, like your Fosters, your Joneses, your Phelpses, your Wellmans, but there's certainly going to be a couple that will be good. Yeah, so I think Norman Clark's moved up into 8th again, so he's moving quite quickly there, moving through the pack.
Yeah, the newly dubbed Mr. Sheen, Manny Raymond, Randy Mather getting caught up in the marbles, and that's allowed Norman Clark to get up and past him. So he's gained another position, and they're currently catching Gary Wellman as well. So Gary Wellman's starting to fall into their grasp as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Of course, the big thing now is there are so many cars out there on different strategies and different tyre lives. This is where you could very easily get a caution coming out.
someone tripping over. A lot of guys have come down to the pits very recently, so there's going to be quite a few cars out there on very, very quick tyres. A lot faster, 1-2 seconds quicker than some of the guys out there. So you're spot on there, Carl. It's definitely a fragile moment out there at the moment as to whether or not we might see a couple of cars trip over each other.
Christopher Finlay, the driver out there on the oldest tyres, he last transited the pit lane on lap 67.
I think he'll definitely have to come back down again, because I think the longest we saw a driver go was about 76, 77 laps. So he's going to be, he's either clutching it the whole way around, or he's not going to make it there, which is unfortunate. It's him running in P11 at the moment, but he's definitely going to have to come down and get some more fuel, I would have thought.
Yeah, Ben Vickers, 76 laps, I think off the top of my head, was the longest person to be out there, but of course he had the opportunity to run a little bit under caution, so there was a little bit of fuel saved there, and of course stopping earlier on in the race as well. So it's going to be interesting now. He's going to get very tight up there. It's going to get close. This could be a really close finish for a lot of these guys. If they can make it on fuel or not, it's going to be tricky right now.
Well, as you said, Lockie, the only one who's guaranteed is JCW in third, hitting on lap 89. There's no chance there's going to stop again. Nor Ben Vickers on lap 93. Everyone else is a little bit touch and go.
Yeah, I think Ed's quite keen to lose a lap here. One less lap he has to run if he is tight on fuel. So he's just dropped by and let Hamish Gallagher put him a lap down, and we've now only got 3 left on the lead lap.
Yeah, the cars on the lead laps are dropping like flies. Maybe Foster just wanted to look at the back of Hamish Gallagher's car for a bit and enjoy the fantastic Taylor Swift livery that Hamish Gallagher runs. It's one of his favourite singers, of course.
You reckon Ed's a bit of a Tay-Tay fan? Is that what you're saying, Carl?
I wouldn't want to say anything out of terms or spread rumours, but I reckon it could be true.
I guess we'll have to consult him during the week then and find out.
If I don't turn up next week, Stuart, you know what's happened.
I was about to say, I wouldn't consult too hard. You might find yourself getting assaulted. So I'd probably just leave that one alone.
Yeah, I think we'll go with your advice on that one, Stuart. Might be the smartest thing to go with.
Yeah, we'll have to get you to tell us one day, Carl, in the pre-show, I guess, why it is that he does run the Taylor livery. He's very partial to the Taylor Swift-ising of his car, so we'll have to get you to tell us why that is at some stage.
I'll have to find out first, in all honesty. That's one of the questions that we all have in ANZCAR. It's one of those unknown things, I think, to anyone other than Hamish Gallagher.
It might be something we ask him if he manages to close the deal off tonight, maybe.
We may finally get an answer for everybody. Ryan Jones has got a fast charging Ben Vickers behind him at the moment. Ryan Jones just nursing that car around, trying to get it to the finish. We've got 8 laps remaining. Not far off now. They are going to get very close on fuel. A lot of these drivers. At the moment, JCW is trying to keep his charge going, but he's unable to make much pace over Josh Micklemore and Hamish Gallagher in the lead. Hamish Gallagher got a 9-second lead over his teammate of Josh Micklemore at the moment. 18 seconds over that of Joshua Carroll-Walden. So good drive out there from Hamish, and good for being back to form.
I wonder if a few of the drivers are starting to just get a little bit tired at the moment. There's a few funny comments being thrown around on the radios. We're starting to wind down a long race after such a long green flag period. I think that it'll be close to 130 laps there. So
if they do close this out, of course, this will be consecutive 1-2 closeout for Mitch Motorsport.
That is impressive. As we talked about before the race, that they're such a strong team, they always manage to find themselves right up the front, and case in point, they've gone and stuck it with 1-2 with 5 to go. It's almost impressive to watch. Oh, it is impressive to watch, sorry.
I was going to say, I hope so. I hope it's impressive to watch.
It is. My bad, I've stumbled my own words there.
Ryan Jones.
Long time
Ryan
under
Jones coming into pit lane.
Oh.
So
Ooh.
Ryan Jones is pitting. So this is it. Christopher Finlay has come in as well, but Ryan Jones is pitting. So obviously it was getting too close for comfort for him, and that might be bad news for Foster. We only got 4 laps remaining, and we are very close to the end here on lap 147, 150. Sorry, so 3 laps remaining. So it is getting so tight for the finish now. Who is going to make it? Who's not? It's you got to say it's looking really, really dicey for Foster, Phelps, Clark. Those guys are really, really close to the end of their stint. Do they have enough to get past the line? Meanwhile, Hamish Gallagher's got a nice bit of a buffer for him, and he's just cruising around at the moment. He's looking pretty safe out there.
A little bit of an update on the Ryan Jones, just heard over the radio. He actually blew a right front tyre. So it shows how much the tyre wear is around here. And according to Dave Douglas as well, the reason he's lost a few more laps than he has is because he also blew a right front tyre at some point during the race. So apparently there's a lot more wear out there than we first imagined, and it's coming back to bite a lot of people out there.
It has been a while since we've seen tyre blowouts. Of course, we actually saw JCW, speaking of the man in third place, losing a tyre a while back while in the lead. I'm trying to remember which race it was, but he lost a tyre in the lead, and that was a big, big moment for him. But at the moment, you've got to say the number 13 up the front is going to be crossing the line and seeing the white flag waving. He's got just 1.61 kilometres to go, less than that as I speak. He is coming around the first corners for the final time. Down the back straight. Just a couple of more meters to go, and he will have taken out the win here for the first round of the Wednesday Night Thunder Series here on FGM Cast.
Congratulations, Hamish. That's a very well driven there, and congratulations to Josh to come home 1-2 there for Mitch Motorsport. That is very impressive and a very strong showing for the first round.
Mitch Motorsport just having 2 bullets in the gun tonight, I think. I was just looking through the entries. I think it was just the only Gallagher and Mickelmore in tonight, and they managed to get both those cars up to the front. Really good job from them. Ruben Phelps managing to make it into 5th in the end, with Edward Foster in 4th. Great job for Ruben Phelps as well. We've seen consistency from him. Norman Clark up there in 6th position. A great finish for Norman Clark. Nice to see him up there. Gary Wellman in 7th position, managing to make 20 positions in that race. Just behind him is Mr. Clean, Matty Raymond, getting the car home. Not entirely clean, there's a little bit of damage I can spot on that right front, but he managed to make up 18 positions with Ben Vickers in 9th. We did say watch out for Ben. He stayed out there a bit longer, and it did end up paying off for him. 13 positions gained in the race, up into P9, with newcomer Brenton West getting 10th in the end after making that later pit stop. Yeah, absolutely. Absolute brilliant finish for debut for Brenton West. And as we head down a little bit further, we've got Troy Davidson in 11th, with Ryan Jones finishing 12th after that late tyre blowout for him. Mirko Dortnak in 13th, with Dave Douglas 14th. 15th was Stephen Williams with Christian Finley in 16th. 17th was Tristan Koch with Jamie McNamara in 18th. 19th was Kay Donnelly with Michael Schroeder in 20th. 21st, we had Jacob Burke with Matt Hunter 22nd. 23rd was Justin Howe, Nigel Patton 24th. 25th, Aiden Schultz, Aaron Dillon 26th. And then, unfortunately, we lost Brenton Hobson and Jaden Russell. I think Jacob Burke as well was one of those drivers that got caught out with the lap numbers as well. So those guys, unfortunate, but we hope to see them back. We saw some really good pace tonight from some new faces, but the old faces did prevail with a great victory from Hamish Gallagher.
Yeah, it's definitely shaping up. I wonder if we're going to see quite the battle this season between the Mitch Motorsport cars and the Natari cars, because you've got essentially the 3 Natari cars in the top 6 and the 2 Mitch ones, 1, 2. And I think, barring the damage that Ed copped from that collision with Ryan Jones, you probably would have seen him a bit further closer to Joshua Carroll-Walden as well. So it's going to be one to watch this season. Definitely going to be quite the battle. And hopefully we get a few more cars stick around and see a few cars pick up, because I think there's the likes of Dave Douglas, Ryan Jones, even a few others that are a bit further down. Mirko Dortnak are quite quick when it comes to these cars, so it'd be fascinating to see how it goes throughout the rest of the season.
I was about to say we've not seen the full power of the Crankers coming out, the Crank Esport boys. So that's another team to watch out for, one of those big teams to look out for. But up in the booth joining us, we have the first two finishers of the race, the Mitch Motorsport boys of Hamish Gallagher and Josh Micklemore. Congratulations on the 1-2 there, and congratulations on the win, Hamish Gallagher.
Thanks, Carl.
It's nice to have you back in the booth, Hamish. It's been a little bit of time. We spoke to you relatively recently, but it's always lovely to have you up here. And doing it on the first night of Thunder, well, that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, sure is. I'm glad the race went green, so it was good to get a nice, good, long race in. So that definitely helped me. Obviously, that strategy court start played a big role. But, yeah, so I'm just real happy with that. We managed to keep the car clean, get the tyres under it, and everything just went as planned.
Yeah, we saw you coming in a little bit earlier when that caution was flying. Did you and Josh both take tyres, or did you just take fuel?
Oh, no, yeah, we definitely took tyres.
Yeah, we thought so. We're working those out in the booth. We're pretty sure you did, but yeah, it was an interesting little call. Of course, a little bit risky that earlier on, of course, with the tyre management sometimes, but it paid off well for you. Sort of had that race almost sewn up for a lot of that time, but we saw some good battling out front with some of the new drivers, especially with, I think it was Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, shame Hobbo and Jaden got DQ'd there. We're having a good fun race. But, yeah, so I've never seen that before in ANZCAR when they'll kick people out mid-race. I knew they were going to get DQ'd because of the wrong numbers, but it's a shame that happened. We would have been a good fun to have them through to the end there. Yeah,
but it's tantalising for the future because it's nice to see some new faces up there, and especially putting in some challenges as well, because it looked like there was some good racing, and we saw some good racing all throughout the field as well. Green for an awful lot of laps there as well here at Dover.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to get the season underway here. Lots of green flag racing. That was good.
Now 130 laps that we went green, just for the number.
Especially at Dover, like it's a pretty tricky place and it was quite tight. I saw a few people bouncing off the wall and turn forward, thought, oh, here comes a caution, but no, everyone kept it straight, which is great.
That's what we love to see, and we were just having a bit of a chat up here in the booth as well about the beautiful livery you have on the car.
Mate, yeah, got to bring it out, you know. wouldn't be right, would it, Carl?
I mean, we were just chatting about your love for Taylor Swift, of course, because you do tend to have that mighty Tay-Tay on the car tonight. Bit of a different livery for you tonight, though. Is this going to be the Xfinity livery for you for the whole season?
Oh, yeah, no, I ran it last year. I haven't driven this car since last year's Thunder. I just dusted it off and gave it a spin tonight. Yeah, so why not, you know? I've got to make up for my lack of speed with best paint scheme on the grid, you know, car.
You had a lack of speed tonight, Hamish. You were, I think, by far and away one of the quickest cars out there. I wouldn't talk yourself down too far.
Oh, thanks, Lockie. Oh, good to see you on the booth, by the way.
Cheers. I think it's. I hate to say it, but it's suited me pretty well. I wish I was back out there racing, but bit of time off, and I'll be back soon.
What did you do to your knee? Is that right?
Yeah, I've just injured it a little bit, done a bit of ligament damage, but I'll be fine.
Oh, bugger. That's no good.
Congratulations on that victory, of course. Big shout out to Tay-Tay, of course, as always for you. But before we let you carry on, the usual thing of love for your sponsors.
Yep, big thank you to Josh, Jason and Daniel. And we're having a heap of fun racing with them this year. Bob King, and yeah, you guys for doing the broadcast.
You're always welcome, Hamish, and I'm sure we'll have you back in the booth soon. And congratulations on taking out the victory the first time out here in the Thunder Series for 2021.
Cheers, thanks, Carl.
Next up, we will head to second place, man. The number 31, Josh Micklemore. Congratulations on that very strong P2 finish. Another 1-2 for the Mitch Motorsports boys this week in ANZCAR.
Yeah, managed to get 1-2 on the trucks, and then again tonight, me and Harry. So, yeah, wrapped with that. Absolutely wrapped.
Yeah, I was about to say, I imagine you are completely stoked with that. It looked very good out there tonight, and you guys always look strong. We say it a number of times, of course. The Mitch Motorsport boys are. When we saw you guys start up the team, we thought, oh, this is going to be dangerous. A very strong team as well, especially now with Hamish on board. what do you sort of put down to success tonight? Was it sort of a bit of a strategy game, or just lots of practice?
Oh yeah, it's been a strategy, especially that pit stop, the first pit stop we did for sure, would have helped us. But yeah, we coming in on the practice, we knew we sort of had fast cars, so yeah, it was just managing the car and make sure we don't wreck it or get wrecked or hit a wall and be out the other end. Unfortunately, I think I've picked up a little bit of damage there coming through the field after that first restart, which cost me a bit of time. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty good fun. I had enjoyed the car for over 12 months, so yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about just how different these cars are compared to the Cup cars and things like that. Obviously, they're quite a bit different to sort of what you're used to driving, I imagine.
Yeah, this car is actually quite tight, so I haven't drove a car this tight for a little while on the NASCAR side of things. But yeah, we'll see how it goes the next few weeks, and yeah, have some fun with it.
No, congratulations. 2 times the bridesmaid this week. Is it going to be third time lucky for you in the Cup Series?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we do all right tomorrow night. It's going to be tough. Dover's always a tough place, especially these long races we do. But yeah, it's good to not have any cautions tonight. I mean, not many cautions, I should say, and move on to tomorrow night with a bit of confidence from tonight as well. So yeah, should be good fun.
Congratulations, and as usual, the usual shout-outs to everybody.
Yeah, Bob King, Big Age Designs for sponsoring the team, and yeah, Hamish tonight, keeping his car clean and dominating basically. Yeah, he did kill a job. So, and you guys for putting on the stream, FGM cars.
You're always welcome. Thank you so much, Josh Mickmore, Mitch Motorsport, and congratulations again on another 1-2 for the team and to second place here at the Thunder Series.
All right, cheers, guys.
Josh Mickmore there, and finally we'll go to the quietest man in the booth at the moment, one JCW, Joshua Carroll-Walden. Congratulations on that P3 finish.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Yeah, it was quite a long, interesting race out there.
Yeah, it's been a while since I last spoke to you, JCW, but it's nice to have you back up. That was a pretty mighty final stint for you. We saw you taking it long after the caution, of course, and obviously that didn't look too easy to drive.
No, man, it wasn't. Yeah, as Josh said, yeah, the car was definitely on the tighter side tonight. So, yeah, for a lot of that race, we were all just trying to manage it best, and yeah, like I actually didn't take tyres under that first caution, only took fuel. So, I'll brag it out now. I took those that first set of tyres 89 laps. Just I thought there'd be more than one caution tonight. And yeah, just managed to just extend the range out and just see what I could do at the tail end.
No, you did a great job, and especially here you didn't take tyres. That is a fantastic stint for you in the middle there. We saw you getting that speed working for you for that final run, of course. Obviously, those fresher tyres would have helped a bit, and that late stop would have probably meant you didn't have to worry too much about fuel as well at the end there. Yeah,
it was a bit tight on fuel at the end there. Like I knew roughly that it's kind of about half distance fuel take can make it. So I was just trying to push it as long as I can, and see if I can trap some of the other guys out by basically pitting later and guarantee myself a finish at the end there. But yeah, Josh and Hamish, they did a fantastic job tonight. Just managed their races beautifully, and yeah, I'll just have to settle for P3 and get them back tomorrow night.
That's it. There's always tomorrow night for you here. Obviously, Dover in the Cup Series, but not a bad team for Atari Autosport as well. You managed to get all of the cars in the top 6 tonight with yourself, Edward Foster and Norman Clark up there in the top 6. It looks like it's going to be a pretty heated battle between you guys and Mitch Motorsport this season in the Thunder Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is still early days. We still have another 11 rounds to go. But yeah, both teams, I know, we both relish, the little bit of a competitive rivalry that we have going, pushes, all members to new heights. So, it's fantastic, to, be able to race those guys, week in, week out. And, they're so calculated and precise with every move they make. It's just a pleasure to be on the same piece of tarmac as them.
A pleasure watching the racing as well. Thank you so much, JCW. And of course, before I let you leave and sliver off for the night, the usual shout out and love to sponsors.
Yeah, sure. So shout out to AJ Insurance Services, donning the Thunder cars for this season. Shout as well to Ferguson Group Media, Bridgestone Select, Race Magazine, Two Fat Blokes. Shout out to Ed and Norman tonight. They didn't have ideal races, but they just grinded out a fantastic result tonight. Shout out to Hardigan. He's going to be back probably for tomorrow night, which is fantastic to see. And yeah, shout out to FGM Ecast for the broadcast, and you and Lockie for the commentary tonight.
Always welcome. Thank you so much, JCW. Josh McCarroll, that is of Natari Autosports P3 tonight in the Thunder Series. So, Thunder has kicked off with quite a bang, Lockie and Stuart. It was a very good race there.
Definitely. I think that was it's always good when you see a series that go with such long green flag racing. Really opens up the strategy, who can be the better driver, who can drive the cars, and I know I really enjoyed tonight, Carl, and I look forward to possibly doing it again sometime soon.
No, thank you for coming up in the box. It was very welcome. I'm sure Stuart enjoyed having you up here as well. And Stuart, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, great. It's obviously a lot of promise for the series going forward. It's my first exposure to the Thunder series, and I've been looking forward to it for a couple of weeks since Ed Foster jumped on and let us know that he was planning on trying to get this one back together for Wednesday night. So really pleased with how it went. We've got some exciting new drivers, as you said, Carl. Hopefully they're not discouraged by the DQ for the wrong numbers, but we'll get that sorted out and get them back out here next week, because I think a number of them are going to lay down the challenge to the Mitch and Zari boys at the front.
Yeah, very much so. Hopefully we will see them all back, and it was nice to see new faces out there. Is what we want for Thunder and the trucks, of course, and hopefully they don't get too discouraged, and hopefully they'll watch the stream and see what happened and realise that's a mistake and get it all fixed up for next time, because we want to see some close racing out there as always. Of course, we have some more close racing coming up back here at Dover tomorrow night for the ANZCAR Cup Series, a very different car here at Dover. Obviously, these Xfinity cars looked very quick out there tonight. The Cup cars that are going to absolutely show them up. They are much, much quicker indeed. A very different beast to drive out there.
Yeah, we've got the Dover double header, so we're back here tomorrow night, and that'll be from 8 o'clock post-qualifying tomorrow as we get that one up and running, and looking forward to bringing that one to you again tomorrow night from 8 p.m.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting one. And then, of course, next week we have got many more things coming up. Of course, we've got the Truck Series and the Oz Pro Am Series, so lots of things to catch here on FGM Ecast. It's been a busy bit of a week so far, Stuart. Of course, we've gone 4 nights a week, and it's starting to heat up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty to come. And, of course, we are 1 month out today, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, from our 12-hour stream as well. So that's coming up on the network too. We're still working on that one. So we'll cover that off again tomorrow night. But I think that just about wraps it up tonight. Lockie, debut in the booth, mate, for FGM Ecast. Do a great job, but sure be keen to get back out there and race. Obviously, welcome back anytime you wish to. So hopefully, if we don't see you tomorrow night, we'll see you on Wednesday again next week. Thank you for your help.
I'll definitely have to sneak in next week on Wednesday night again, because I got a couple more weeks out. But I don't know. We'll see how we go. Might have to sneak up into the booth at some point tomorrow night and give you some give you a few more words from the brain, you know. But no, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you for having me up tonight, Stuart. And yeah, I think it helps to have a really good race to commentate over. But yeah, look forward to next time.
Does make it a lot easier. And as always, Carl, thank you for joining me for another Wednesday, or for our first Wednesday evening, but another evening during the week. And we will see you back here tomorrow as well at around about 8 o'clock when we kick off with the race live here from Dover for our second of our double headers here this week on FGM ANZCAR. So on behalf of ANZCAR, AJ Insurance Services, thank you to everyone that tuned in. If you are still watching, do drop a like or a subscribe wherever you're watching from. It helps support the channel and we certainly appreciate it. And we'll see you here tomorrow night live on FGM ANZCAR, your e-place for pace. Thanks very much for tuning in.